Okay, we're going to go through a quick foldable. These are the 4 types of slope. Before we even open up these little flaps, I want to tell you a story, okay? A story of Frosty the Snowman snow skiing. I know, but it's never winter here. This is somewhere else. Okay, there's 4 types of slopes that Frosty likes to ski on, okay? Well, not all of them, but there's 4 types he could ski on. These are the 4 slopes. Okay, so I'm not Mr. J. I can't draw as well as him. He's a pretty good artist, actually. I think he tried to be a cartoon artist, but it didn't work out. So there's Frosty on his skis, and he is skiing away. Now, this is a positive slope because reading it left to right, it's going uphill, and Frosty is puffing uphill. He's huffing and puffing. So the P in puffing can help you remember that that is positive. If you're having to puff uphill, it's a positive slope. Now, if it's a negative slope, Frosty loves a negative slope because that's what skiing's all about. Downhill skiing. It is nice. He's having a great time skiing downhill.
Does that say puffin?
Puffing. He's puffing, huffing and puffing. Puffing like that, or you can say puffing. He's like, he's trying to get up the hill. That's exactly what he is. And he just stopped smoking too, I guess. I don't know. So, he is. So there he is. Remember, all of my stories are crazy, and they're to help you remember the concept. So there it is, puffing uphill. Here it is, nice downhill. This one is not either one of those. This is a boring slope. He's just basically walking. What's the point of even wearing skis if you're just walking? Boring because it is a 0 slope. The 0 in boring helps you remember it's a 0 slope, okay? Now there is one final slope, and this is not the slope you want to ski off of, okay? Because Frosty is bored, and he's bored, and bored, and eventually he comes over here, and he actually skis off the side of a cliff, okay? I know, it's true. This is PG-13. And he yells, "Oh no!" And he goes splat. And there's Frosty, and he is now undefined. Okay, so remember, the boring slope for Frosty is the 0 slope. Just straight horizontal, right? I'm going to write that word too. Horizontal.
Like the horizon?
Very good, like the horizon. The vertical slope, you hear people say, let's get vertical if they're going to like jumping around on the dance floor kind of thing. If you ever knew what they meant, that's what they mean. If they say let's get vertical, it means you're supposed to be jumping. Bianca with 2 Y's. Okay. So if I ever say let's get vertical, I'm just kidding. So just remember, if he's going, oh no, it means there is no slope. In other words, the slope is undefined. What does this look like in a calculator? You're going to have a number divided by 0, and it's going to tell you undefined. Here you're going to have 0 divided by a number, and it will tell you the slope is 0. Okay? So now we're going to open up the flap, and we're going to have some examples of each of these. So, a positive slope, like you just saw, it goes upwards from left to right. The fancier way of saying that is it ascends. It ascends. And remember, we always read it from left to right. Okay? I'm going to go through these kind of line by line, and then you'll have it all. Ascends.
The line go upwards.
It goes upwards. The line, goes upwards, you're right. Goes upwards. The negative slope, the line goes downwards. Just like, yes, it descends. Very good. Okay. The 0 slope is, and someone already said it, it's a horizontal line. And I like what someone said, it's like the horizon. Think of that. It's like the horizon. It is a Dixie cow, you're right. The vertical or the undefined slope is a vertical line. Okay, it's this way. All right? Now, I want you guys to think about in terms of y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. When we talk about slope, we're talking about the m. So if you have a positive slope, just give me any small positive number that will fit on this graph. 2 is a good one. So y equals 2x could be one example of a positive slope. You could just have a b value, a starting value of 0, and that's fine. That means you don't even have to have a plus or minus number on the end. So let's go ahead and graph that. The slope here would be 2. And say we start at 0 because that is our starting value. And how do we graph it? You always want to have two numbers when you're doing your slope. Your Roy D number is always the top. If you don't have a bottom number, it's automatically what? 1. Okay? You go up 2, 1 to the right. Up 2, 1 to the right. Up 2, 1 to the right. Okay, and that's how you do it. Then you can get your straight edge and you could finish off your line that way. That's pretty much all there is to it. Okay? Let's do another one that maybe is a fraction. Like y equals, how about, I don't know, how about even like 2/3 x? And I'm going to start this one down here lower, so I'm going to have a starting value of like -6. Okay? That means I start 6 down, 2, 4, 6, that's just the y-intercept. And then I go up 2, 3 to the right, up 2, 3 to the right, and over and over and over. Okay? So that'd be another example. The slope for this one would be the 2/3. Remember, the slope is the number with your x. What I did is I just made this one up. It's 2/3 x minus 6. We're going to get into this part later, but I'm just kind of doing it fast for now. This -6 tells you where to start on your y-axis. I start 6 downwards from the origin. 2, 4, 6. There's my starting point. And then you always count this, and I'm actually going to put it here. A positive slope, you always count it up and right. Up and right. Over and over again. Up and right. From point to point. Up and right. Because the top number is always my change in y. The bottom number is my change in x. Okay? Okay, I'm going to try to leave that on the screen if you're still getting caught up, and I'm going to start doing the next one. So now we're doing the negative slope, the skiing nicely downhill. That's fun and nice. Let's use the exact same, or most of the same numbers, okay? I may change up this -6 to keep it on the graph nicely, but I'm going to use this one the same, but I'm going to change it to a negative. Instead of y equals 2x, I'm going to make it y equals -2x. So the slope here is -2. We still start at 0 because there's no beginning value. And now I'm going to go 2 down, and I still go 1 to the right. Remember, we always encourage you guys to read these left to right. So I also encourage you to graph them left to right. That'll help you not get the line flipped around the wrong way. So this is still just 1 to the right. So starting here, down 2, 1 to the right, down 2, 1 to the right, down 2, 1 to the right. And then you can finish the line going the other direction if you want with the ruler. So here's the puffing uphill, here's the going nice downhill. Let's come up with another one. I'm still going to use the 2/3, but I'm going to make it a -2/3 x. And what I'm going to do, I don't have to do this, but just to keep it on the graph, I'm going to say it's +5. I'll just make a different starting value. That +5 tells me to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my starting point here. And now I'm going, my -2 means go down 2. My 3, the bottom number, is still telling me to go to the right. Okay? So I go down 2, 3 to the right. Down 2, 3 to the right. There's my line. Okay, so one is steeper. This one's steeper, this one's less steep, but they're both going downhill. What makes one steeper than the other? The bigger the number is. I'm not talking about the negative sign, I'm just talking about the number itself. 2 is a lot bigger than 2/3, so that line is steeper. Okay? Over here, 2 is a lot bigger than 2/3, so that line is also steeper. Make sense? All right, I'm going to write down here. For here, you go up and right. For here, my change in y over my change in x, I'm going down and right. Okay, the horizontal and the vertical are those special cases. So they're a little weird, especially the vertical. It's kind of weird. Here's why horizontal is weird. The good thing about horizontal is at least you can put it in the calculator. Remember, if I have a 0 slope, that's what horizontal means. So my y equals mx plus b. My m is going to be 0. So my equation might be something like y equals 0x, and somebody give me some other number, like maybe 3 or 4. Okay, let's do 3, and then we'll do 4 for the other one. How's that? Or maybe negative 4. We'll see. Okay, so there's 3. What does this actually mean? 0 times anything is 0. So this part actually goes away, guys. We end up with y equals 3. And that's why this one's weird. You look at that and you're like, wait, what in the world is that? There's not even an x. Because the 0 multiplied by the x and it went away. So you end up with y equals 3. How do you graph y equals 3? The good thing about it is you can actually put that on your calculator screen because it's a y equals, and you can look at it if you ever forget. But the other thing to think of is the y value is always going to be 3. No matter where I am on the x value, on the x-axis, my y value is always up 3. So I can be anywhere, left or right, but the only value I can have in terms of y is 3. So as I keep graphing those all the way across, there's my horizontal line. So the fact is, x can be any number. The value of y has got to be 3. That's why it always goes up to the same amount, and that's what makes it horizontal. Okay? Let's make it, the next one negative. Somebody said 4, so I'm actually going to make it negative 4. So I'm going to say y equals 0x minus 4. 0 times anything is 0, so that goes away. We end up with y equals minus 4. Okay? So my slope here is 0, just like the other one. Don't make the mistake of thinking the slope is 3 here and the slope is 4 here. The slope is 0 on both of these. All right? So I'm going to count down 4. No matter where I am, I count down 4. Okay, and there is my example of that. Okay, the vertical line is the weird one. That's the one where Frosty goes splat and he's undefined, right? So, what's an example of a vertical slope? Well, it's undefined. We already know that. So you could put UND, whatever. You could abbreviate it like the calculator does. That's fine. How do you write the equation for that? Remember, this is the strange one. This is unlike all the other ones. And the equation is also unlike the other ones. It's the only equation that has x equals a number, not y equals a number. So I could say x equals 3. Or x equals negative 4. I'm using the same numbers as the last example so you can see how different it is. When x is always 3, that means you're always going 3 to the right. You can go up and down as far as you want in terms of the y values, but your x values are always going 3 to the right. Doesn't matter. They're all 3 to the right. That's how you get your vertical line. Okay, what's that? I mean, it's up to you. It's personal preference. If it helps you, yeah, but if you, I mean, these are your notes. Negative 4, some people are better at drawing lines than others. I'm not very good at drawing lines on my own, so.
Just follow the line.
Yeah, just follow the line. Negative 4, it would always be 4 to the left. There you go. Okay, so there is x equals negative 4, and here is x equals positive 3. All right, so those are, and remember, this is not the slope. 3 is not the slope, negative 4 is not the slope. The slope is actually undefined.